And then half a year passed. What? There was a loud creak and everyone in the lab turned around. Oh no. Oh my goodness, she's got a little school uniform on. What the heck? How's it going, everybody? HoodlaMutt here, back with some more Steins Gate 0. And last time, we took Maho to some different part places for computers where she kind of nerded out. We got her a stuffed animal that she couldn't get herself from a crane game, which was cute. And then we found out that the PC Daru was working on actually belongs to Maho. She's his client. We found out that Daru works at a cosplay store in the back. And while we were there, we quickly escaped because Okabe had a bad feeling in his stomach that people were coming for them. And then quickly found out that they were. And now we are with Maho, and I believe we're at her apartment? Oh, no. We're at Faris's place, that's correct. Yep, okay. Yeah, so now we're in the head of Maho. So let's get into it. This is picking up pretty fast, I think, now. Rintaro took Maho to Faris Nyanyan's home. It was on the top floor of a high-rise building in the center of Akihabara. If nothing else, it was sure to be more secure than the ancient building they'd just been in. Faris welcomed the two of them, offering them food and a place to sleep. Daru returned alone to the Future Gadget Lab to meet up with Suzuha. The mere existence of this laptop could bring disaster. We should get rid of it. Once they'd both calmed down, she started to talk to him about what they were going to do with Kuritz's computer. He didn't budge an inch. Usually, he was an introvert who never pushed too hard for anything. But this time, he was extremely stubborn. Of course, so was Maho.
I at least want to crack the password and see what's inside. Right now, we can't do that, but...
There's no time for that. We should get rid of it now. The best thing would be to destroy it.
Destroy it? But this is something Kuritz left us, you know?
I thought you were a little more logical than this.
I didn't think you were this cold.
Maho's words made him flinch. Something bad had happened to him. That's how it seemed to her. And it was easy to assume that it had something to do with Kuritz. So she decided to ask him what she hadn't gotten to earlier, during the fuss this afternoon.
You seem like you're hiding something about what happened to Kuritz.
What I know doesn't matter. Maho could tell he wasn't going to share. If they hadn't been interrupted this afternoon, would he have told her? Anyway, what should we do with the computer? That computer isn't just something an old friend used to own anymore. It's at the center of an international power struggle.
What kind of crazy conspiracy theory is this?
You still think it's a conspiracy theory after what happened today? You saw those foreigners in black suits, didn't you? Your office and your hotel room were ransacked. Someone set fire to Kuritz's house. And then after that, your lab was visited by mysterious men claiming to be from the FBI. And the attack at the hotel might have had something to do with this too. All these impossible events keep happening one after another. It's not a coincidence.
But still, an international power struggle?
The whole thing just seemed like too much of a stretch for her. Trying to connect every single event was a trap that conspiracy theorists often fell into. But in fact, most things that happened didn't really mean anything. When she began to tell him that, what he had said next surprised her. John Titor's prophecy is going to come true now.
John Titor?
Maho had never heard that name before. A time traveler from the year 2036 who appeared on American message boards 10 years ago. I know for a fact that he's real. I've met him myself. John Titor says World War III will occur in 2015. The cause will be a time machine.
Are you making fun of me?
I am being very serious. You wanted to know about Dr. Nakabachi, right? He's Kuretsu's father. It's possible that Kuretsu may have been involved in the paper he wrote.
What did you say?
Maho had read Dr. Nakabachi's paper out of curiosity. Last summer, he'd proudly announced his paper on time travel to the entire world just before fleeing to Russia. The paper itself, however, was so poorly written that it was of no value whatsoever. She couldn't believe that Kuretsu might have been involved in writing it. But what if his version was an inferior copy of an original that Kuretsu wrote herself? Why would it need to be, though? Didn't he take the original that she wrote and then said, let's do it jointly? I still think that was a thing that happened, right? Because that would have been... He ran off with the paper that was the one that she said after we stabbed her in the first game before going back and then redoing everything, right? And we would have known that. Oh, maybe we didn't know that's... No, I think we figured that out, didn't we? I'm nearly certain. But anyway. Okay. What's inside Kuretsu's computer doesn't actually matter right now. What matters is that we are people who want it.
Give me a second. I need to process all of this.
Could what Rintaro was saying be true? She took a moment to think. Normally, she wouldn't give something like this a second thought. But what had been happening around her lately just wasn't normal. She couldn't outright deny it. Besides, she was nursing a conspiracy theory of her own.
I also thought that someone might be after this computer. But what you're saying is just so different than what I expected.
What did you expect?
I thought it might be about using Amadeus for military purposes.
Military purposes?
Could it spend a lot of time at the psychophysiology lab? She said sometimes she'd been visited by people who looked like they didn't belong there at all. She said she thought they were from the Department of Defense.
Can Amadeus kill someone? How?
Well, for example, you could take the memories of a veteran pilot and copy them and use them to control drones. And remember what I said about medical applications?
You mean copying memory data back to the brain?
Yeah. If you could alter memory data and then send it back to the brain, you could make soldiers who didn't feel fear, or who would carry out any kind of unethical mission without hesitation. My thought was that cadets had found proof that they were running experiments like that.
Hey, the US military aren't involved in researching Amadeus, are they?
Of course not.
Are you sure? You're just a scientist. You're not the head of the project.
Dr. Leskinen wouldn't let the military get involved either.
You're right. All that happened in another world line.
World line? What are you talking about?
No, forget it. I'm overthinking things. He hadn't seemed like he'd really meant that. And that really bothered her. She wanted to hear more about John Titer, but he didn't tell her anything else. Since she couldn't crack the security on Kadets' laptop and hard drive, it did Maho no good to carry them. And just like Rintaro said, those attackers scared her. So she decided she had no choice but to give them to him. He didn't tell her whether he was going to destroy them or not. Maho! I'm so glad you're safe. When she arrived at their office in Wako City, Dr. Leskinen was already there. He came over and gave her a big hug.
Professor, you're hurting me.
Oh, sorry. She'd heard that the office had been ransacked, but whatever had happened had already been cleaned up.
Did you clean up, Professor?
It was ransacked, but only your and my things were here, so there wasn't a lot to begin with. I've left the rest in the hands of the police. 2 days had passed since the office had been ransacked. Maho had spent both of them at Ferris's house, and only today had she gotten in touch with Dr. Leskinen and gone to Wako City to get her things. They were both going back tomorrow, just as planned. That meant they were saying goodbye to this office.
They still haven't caught the guy who did it, right?
Yeah. It's been one thing after another since we came to Japan, hasn't it?
It sure has.
The two of them looked around the empty office. It'd been a busy 2 months. So, what did you think, Maho? Japan's your other homeland, right? What did you make of it?
I can't wait to get back and start on my research. I feel like I've been doing nothing but putting reports together for the past 2 months.
You're so serious, Maho.
That, and I'm glad I was able to experience the place where Kadets spent her last days.
Maho. But she still hadn't figured out why Kadets had died. Actually, she had even more questions now. It bothered her to go home with so many questions left unanswered. If only Rintaro had told her everything he knew.
Come to think of it,
The thought suddenly occurred to Maho.
what are we doing with Amadeus's tester?
Of course, she meant Rintaro Okabe. If both Maho and Leskinen were heading back to America, that meant that his time as tester was over. That's right. For some reason, the professor was taking a moment to think it over. She wondered what there was to think about. Why not have him continue being our tester?
Huh? Are you serious?
It's a fact that speaking with Rintaro has caused credits to react in new ways, correct? And I'm planning on adding additional testers in the future, not just him.
Is that safe? From a security standpoint? Japan and America are too far apart. If something happens, we won't be able to deal with it.
It'll be fine. I believe in Rintaro. That's very trusting. Although they said that she can't really be copied, I suppose, but... Or like she wouldn't be able to give up information because she wouldn't want to, right? So it's like... I guess they have kind of a pretty good security, but still, it still seems like this is a pretty sophisticated piece of engineering to just be like, let this guy we don't really know have it. It's fine, whatever. I trust him. It's kind of interesting.
It's not about whether you believe in him or not.
If he stays on as a tester, you'll still be able to talk to him,
What? I don't have anything to do with this.
Are you sure about that?
I'm sure.
Then I'll take over dealing with Rintaro.
That doesn't bother me.
It still seemed like he wasn't telling her something, but she was too embarrassed to question him further. It surprised her, though, that he was so focused on Rintaro. He seemed to have taken a real liking to him ever since they had first met. Did he simply like the guy? Or was it because he was Kuritz's friend? Or was it something else? She didn't know. The next day, Maho and Dr. Leskinen returned to America via Narita Airport, just like they'd planned. Oh, so they did end up going back. Okay, I thought something was going to stop them for sure. Okay, interesting. Rintaro had come to see them off, and he was very surprised when Dr. Leskinen told him to continue being a tester. Didn't he give that up? I thought Okabe said he didn't want to be a tester, right? Did that change somewhere along the way? Because he apologized to Kuritz, but I didn't think that he still wanted. I thought he was still like, yeah, I'm not going to be a tester, but also I need to apologize so that it's not like I just hung up on her or whatever. Didn't that happen? Am I missing something? Yeah, whatever. And then half a year passed. What? Then half a year? What do you mean half a year? That's a long freaking time, bro. What? Oh, okay. Victor Kandria University's grounds were dead quiet. It was after 11 p.m. Yo, that's almost no time to do the time travel stuff anymore. Didn't Suzuha say it was right around half a month or something? Left before they wouldn't be able to time travel anymore? I thought that was a thing. Or that it wouldn't matter or whatever, uh-oh. Some of the labs worked all night and into the morning, so the place wasn't completely abandoned. But compared to daytime, it was quiet. The lights in the halls were off, and it was a little scary walking down them alone. Maho lived in the researcher's apartment next to the lab. She'd been thinking about so many things that night. Her head felt like it was going to explode. Then she looked out the window and realized that the lights were still on in the brain science lab. Dr. Leskinen must have been working late. She decided to put some coffee in a thermos and take it to him.
Why am I doing so much research about time machines anyway?
Ever since she'd come back from Japan in January, she'd spent all her free time on it. Even she had to admit she was getting obsessed. Of course, since this wasn't something she could research in public, and since she couldn't let it interfere with her real job, she had to do all of it in her own room at night. As a result, she was staying up late battling with physics textbooks, an unfamiliar subject to her. Exhaustion and lack of sleep were starting to get to her. The whole idea of a time machine was stupid. She still thought so, but she was surprised at how desperate she was getting.
This is all because of Okabe.
What Okabe had said to her in Japan still stuck with her. It's possible that Kudetz may have been involved in the paper he wrote. Rintaro could have been lying, or wrong, or simply delusional. But part of her wanted to believe it was real. Of course, from what she'd seen of Dr. Nakabachi's paper, she didn't want to believe Kudetz was involved. It was just that bad. But what if his version was an inferior copy of an original that Kudetz wrote? If she could have written it off as a slim possibility, everything would have been so much easier. But it was just like her, she thought, to be unable to do that. I want to find what Kudetz found. That desire was what drove her to action. But the more research she did, the harder it seemed. It was so hard she was starting to lose faith in what she wanted to believe. Her usual complex started weighing down on her.
Kudetz, I can't be you after all.
Kudetz was her dear friend, but at the same time, she was starting to feel jealous, frustrated, and hateful. And when all those feelings started going around in her mind, there was no way she could focus on work. It was time to chat with Dr. Leskinen for a little, and then go to sleep. She headed over to the lab.
Professor?
Hey, Maho. Dr. Leskinen seemed surprised at her sudden visit, but he stood up from his chair and welcomed her. What brings you here at this hour? It's time for kids to be in bed.
I'll say those exact same words to you.
You've got that right. Dr. Leskinen laughed innocently, like a child, at her cutting remark.
I could see the light on from my room. Here.
The cup on Dr. Leskinen's desk was empty. She poured him some coffee from the thermos. It wasn't the sticky, sweet cafe. I can't. Nope. I'm sure I know the word. Not even gonna try. That she liked. She'd made it straight black to match the professor's tastes. My man! Alright, even if you're evil, I'll say you got some good taste in coffee, because that is the way to drink it. Straight black, nothing else in it. That's the way to go. Right there, baby. He knows. The room was filled with steam and a pleasant smell. This is a surprise. Maho, bringing me coffee.
I'm not that bad, am I?
but I thought you hated this sort of thing. As I recall, it was the first day you came to this lab. Mary was passing out morning coffee to everyone, and you refused. And do you remember what you said then? Did you come to work to make coffee? If you've got time to make coffee, why not get started on your work? I was in awe, I remember. This new kid was really something.
That was such a long time ago. You don't need to bring it up now.
Maho's cheeks swelled in embarrassment.
Back then I was... well, everybody called me the girl genius, and I kinda let it go to my head. I know better now.
Mary was another scientist at the lab. After Maho had apologized, they'd gone on to be friends.
You're so mean, Professor. I'm never making you coffee again, okay?
Just as she was thinking of taking the coffee she'd poured back.
That's right, Professor. Don't be so mean to Maho.
She heard a voice from Dr. Leskinen's computer.
Oh, Cudits? Yes, it's me.
I was just examining her program. She moved around to where she could see the monitor, and sure enough, the Cudits CG model was displayed on it.
Good evening, Maho. Sorry to see you working so late.
Maho chuckled to herself. Cudits was just a program, running on a computer, but she still couldn't stop herself from saying things like that. After all the time they'd spent together, Cudits was no different than a human to her. I'm not being mean to Maho. I was actually quite impressed with what she said to Mary. I thought that she was very logical, very cool-headed, and very entertaining. That's why I made her my assistant. Of course, I don't mind the new, nicer version of you. Dr. Leskinen gave her a wink as he reached for his coffee cup. Thanks. I'll have some. As he drank his coffee, he grabbed the corners of his eyelids and gave them a little massage. He was acting cheerful, but evidently he was really tired.
So, what are you doing with the program?
Oh, you know, for the paper I'm writing.
The mechanism Amadeus uses to lie?
If I could figure out this part of the program, we could learn more about how humans lie, you know?
Women's lies sometimes hide important secrets. I can't say I approve of you trying to discover them.
Cudits' expression was deadly serious. I'm not trying to discover your secrets. I just want to know the thought process involved in telling a lie.
Well, that's fine. If I have to reveal something, I'll start by revealing Maho's sweet secrets. Hey, don't be weird! And what are my sweet secrets anyway? Oh, I couldn't say.
She played dumb. Sometimes Cudits liked to joke around. It was infuriating, and at the same time, kind of cute.
For example, do you think I don't know about the stuffed animal that he got you at the arcade?
Oh, shoot. Oh, no. No, don't do it to her, no.
Huh?
The first thing she thought of when she heard the word arcade was what happened back in Akihabara, Japan. She'd tried so many times to get the stuffed animal, and failed each time. Rintaro had won it easily and given it to her.
What about it? You've got it on your bed, don't you? What are you talking about? That's a present for your mom. Then what's it doing on your bed? Because your mom says she's looking for a new house, and she's living in an apartment right now. I don't want to give her more stuff to haul around. Really? Really? And anyway, that stuffed animal is an important reminder of you. What's wrong with snuggling with it as I sleep? Oh, so it is on your bed after all. And you snuggle with it when you sleep? That's so cute. Tell me more details, please. Ugh!
That stupid computer program had tricked her. By the time she realized it, it was already too late. Both Kuditz and Dr. Leskinen, who'd been listening the whole time, were smiling at her. She glared at them, her cheeks flushed. Looks like Kuditz won this round, huh?
It doesn't matter who won or lost. I'm going to bed. Good night.
She turned to leave Dr. Leskinen's office, fuming. But before she could leave, Kuditz got in one final parting shot.
Maho, you haven't talked to Okabe for a whole week. If you keep putting off talking to him because you're busy, you're going to regret it later, okay? Listen. Are you really that insistent on getting me and Okabe together?
Maho stormed over to the monitor, but Kuditz seemed unconcerned.
Do you ever think about seeing him in person again? Nope.
I see. That's a shame. For some reason, Dr. Leskinen shook his head sadly. I've got another joint project coming up in Japan, and I was thinking of getting in touch with Rintaro while I was there. I was wondering whether I should invite you. I guess not.
Huh?
She'd heard nothing about this. Most of the time, whenever the professor had a project coming up, she'd hear about it through the school's network ahead of time.
You're going back to Japan?
Yeah. She had to stop herself from immediately saying that she wanted to go too. If she did, Dr. Leskinen and Kuditz would make fun of her again. But she didn't want to miss this chance. There was still a lot she needed to do in Japan. More than anything, she wanted to talk to Rintaro in person, about the time machine, and about Kuditz. It was definitely not because she just liked talking to him.
Please take me too.
In the end, she gave in. Oh! You finally become honest about your feelings.
Let's come up with a plan to tell him how much you love him. Come on, guys.
Maho was starting to get tired of dealing with them. Well, joking aside, I'm honestly not sure if I can take you or not.
What do you mean?
A lot happened to you in Japan, right? The brain science lab is very concerned.
But that's not...
And then there's what happened to Kuditz. The directors don't want to lose any more talented personnel.
I'll be fine. I was fine last time, wasn't I?
In other words, you want to go to Japan and see Lintalo that badly, huh?
Do I need to go talk to HR about sexual harassment?
Oh, please don't do that!
But why not seriously consider dating him? It's possible he'll be coming here in the future, right? You should try to get your hooks into him while you can. Stop sounding like a noisy ant.
Alright, Maho. I understand. I'll talk to the directors, but just know that I can't guarantee anything.
Right. Thanks. I'm pretty serious, actually. Are you still saying that?
It really felt like she was talking to Kuditz. The feeling was much stronger than when they'd first started on Amadeus. And that reminded her of something she'd almost done many times, but stopped.
Why not tell Kuditz about the time machine?
She didn't know if Kuditz had completed the time machine theory before her death. But if she had, some clues to it might be hidden in Kuditz's memories. Of course, she couldn't ask her in front of Dr. Leskinen, and she couldn't let others hear that she was making a time machine. Oh, she's actually trying to make one? I thought she was just researching it. What do you mean? Oh, crap. That's sick. Okay. If the rest of the lab found out, they'd make fun of her for sure. It wasn't even her field of research to begin with.
Okay, Professor. I'm going back to my room.
Maho took her thermos and was about to leave the lab. Oh, wait a second. You haven't updated Maho's memory data at all lately, have you?
Huh?
The Amadeus Maho.
Oh,
The last time was before we went to Japan, wasn't it?
Oh, about that.
Maho didn't know what to say. He was right.
Well, I had a lot of scary experiences in Japan. I've been thinking that maybe we shouldn't give Amadeus bad memories.
I understand how you feel, but I can't do a comparison trial like this. A comparison trial involved loading memories from both before and after a given experience into Amadeus, and seeing how it changed. These trials allowed them to see what effects experiences and knowledge had on the brain, but after Kuditz's passing, they became solely Maho's responsibility. Right now, the real you and the Amadeus you have such different memories that you're almost different people.
Yes, that's true.
At this rate, I'm going to have to take you off the project and ask someone else to do it.
That's...
Her expression darkened. Stop talking to Kuditz all of the time, and give yourself some attention. I'm sure she's lonely. Make sure you update your memories tomorrow. Understood?
Understood.
Maho nodded her head and left the room. The reason she'd given to Dr. Leskinen for not updating Maho's memories was a real concern, but there was also another one. Rintaro's words. Hey, the US military aren't involved in researching Amadeus, are they? She had no proof. but she couldn't get his words out of her mind. Was some great power involved in the Amadeus research? Something so powerful it was outside even Dr. Leskinen's control? If she updated her memory data, Maho would learn about Keditz's laptop and hard disk. She trusted Amadeus, but that would mean whoever was secretly trying to use the project for their own ends would find out. It seemed silly, almost delusional, to be worried about something like that. But she couldn't get it out of her mind ever since she'd come back to America. You guys were literally being chased before, and now 6 months, just passed. Did they just give up? They didn't keep coming after you? What? I mean, those were targeted attacks. It wasn't just random attacks. That was not a coincidence that they attacked the lab, her apartment, Keditz's house, and Dr. Leskin and stuff, all within a similar time frame. Especially the ones that didn't involve Keditz's house. Everything, all the other stuff happened literally within, I think, days of each other, if not in the same day. So why are we not more freaked out about that? I think at this point. Anyway.
I really am overthinking it, though.
She whispered to herself.
Who's there? Is someone there?
She heard a woman's voice from down the dark hallway. I just totally guessed it was a woman. I went 50-50. Ha! Maho stopped dead in her tracks. The hallway lights flipped on, and she saw a group of men and women coming down the corridor that connected her building to the next one. The next building over was the psychophysiology lab. Maho's brain science lab mostly investigated the workings of the brain itself. The psychophysiology lab, on the other hand, was more of a medical department. They looked at how the workings of the brain affected mental states and mental illnesses.
Excuse me. I'm Maho Hyacho, from Dr. Leskinen's lab.
The woman at the head of the group was someone she knew. It was Dr. Reyes, a scientist at the psychophysiology lab.
Oh, it's you, Maho. Professor Reyes, are you up working this late?
You too?
Yes, I suppose.
We're both addicted to our work, aren't we?
Oh no, this is not Mary. Okay, I was assuming this was Mary. Judy Reyes's eyes narrowed beneath her glasses as she laughed.
Where's Alexis?
Still in his office?
Yes, he's working on Amadeus.
He really is dedicated. Sometimes I wonder if he doesn't think it's his own daughter.
Are you going to see Dr. Leskinen at this hour? If it's an emergency meeting, I'll go too.
No need for that. I'm having some trouble with my research. I want his help, and I want it now.
There wouldn't be anything you could really do.
Oh, don't take that the wrong way. But thanks.
Dr. Reyes kept smiling as she walked past Maho towards the lab. The other scientists followed her.
A problem with her research? What could it be?
She took a closer look and saw that she didn't recognize one of the people in the group. It was hard to say why, exactly, she noticed him. He just didn't look like a scientist. When you spend enough time doing research, you start to get a feel for people who are in the same line of work. But he had a totally different air about him. And what was worse, he was behaving extremely rudely towards Dr. Reyes. If he was one of her staff, he wouldn't act like that. Oh no. And while everyone else was wearing white lab coats, he was wearing a freshly pressed suit. It just didn't feel right. She was about to head back to her room when... It bothered her enough that she turned right back around and silently crept back to Dr. Leskinen's lab. The door was slightly ajar. She could hear voices inside. She knew it was wrong, but she decided to push her face up against the door to listen.
How long are you going to let him hang on to it?
It's a valuable source of information. I'd hate to tip him off and have him destroy it. Either way, we're leaving for Japan this month. I plan on getting it back then.
Can you explain why you've dragged your feet for 6 months over this?
I have a feeling that they're still hiding something we don't know about yet. I tried to use Amadeus to get it out of him, but... He's a very cautious boy, our Lintalo Okabe. I freaking knew it! He's evil! Or something. He's not good, let's put it that way. He's trying to get info. Oh no, is he trying to get info on the time machine stuff? Somehow? Oh no! I knew it! I knew it.
Why not use your special treatment on Maho?
I don't think she knows anything. Maho started to panic when she heard her name. And then, she realized she'd made a big mistake. She was so focused on listening to the conversation that she pressed her shoulder into the door. The door to the lab wasn't very well built. There was a loud creak and everyone in the lab turned around. Oh no!
Who's there?
She knew she should probably run, but her body refused to move. She couldn't understand what she was hearing, and even after they found her, she still couldn't move. She couldn't believe it. She didn't want to believe it. This was worse than being in a thriller, she thought. The other scientists, who were with Dr. Reyes, grabbed her arms tightly and dragged her into the room. Oh no! Maho!
Professor, what were you just talking about?
Dr. Leskinen looked a little sad as he walked over to her. His huge body leaned forward and peered into her face. Oh dear. You heard, did you? Well, it's good timing. Maho, remember that Japan trip we were just talking about? You're going to come with me after all. She didn't know what he meant. Weren't the directors opposed to it? Was it something Dr. Leskinen could decide on his own? What was good timing? I don't like this. Confused, she glanced over at the computer screen. Yeah, Kuditz isn't listening. But Kuditz was no longer there. The one thing she knew was... Okabe's words weren't the ramblings of a conspiracy theorist after all. It was almost July. The rainy season hadn't been that bad this year, and what little remained of it had already disappeared. Temperature-wise, summer had come a long time ago. Summer. In other words, it had almost been a year since it happened. And then one Saturday afternoon, if I'd stayed home, not only would it be hot, but Dad would get on my case about helping with the family business. To get away, I'd come to the area around Ikebukuro Station. A year ago, I could have gone to the lab, but with Suzuha living there now, I'd mostly stopped going. But that meant that it was hard to find a place to study on my days off. It was too much trouble to go to the university. And the classrooms probably weren't open on weekends anyway. Dude, oh man, okay. So they're coming after Okabe now. And Maho's gonna be like, she's gonna freaking be the bait. They're gonna make her the bait. Oh no. Oh, this sucks. Ugh. After a lot of research, I'd settled on spending my free days visiting this lab near my parents' home and spending a few hours there. In fact, a lot of the other patrons did the same thing I did, buying a single cup of coffee and sitting there for hours on end. Some brought books, some brought computers. I chuckled to myself as I realized that I'd joined the ranks of the other normies. Oh. Hello? Oh. Hello? Oh. Tut-tut-too, where are you now? He's got a coffee one, what the heck? Oh, the usual cafe, right? I just went to your place and you weren't home. You did? Did my dad make a nuisance of himself again? It's okay, he gave me some barley tea. I have to go shopping. Will you come with me? Okay. Thank you. Okay, I'll leave now. Wait for me. So they went to my house? My family's business was called Okabe Green Grocer. It was a beat-up old store located in a rundown shopping street. The place was almost 40 years old. I really wanted them to rebuild it. Phew. My mind had wandered. My Yeti was going to be here in less than 15 minutes, so maybe it was time to call it a day. I'd worked pretty hard during the morning, so it wasn't too bad. I was a little surprised at how hard I'd been working lately. I could feel how having a goal gave me energy. I needed to get to Victor Condria University as soon as I could. Victor Condria University. Since I was still testing Amadeus, I'd kept in touch with Maho via email and online chat. She must have been working hard, because she was always sleepy. Oh, so he did keep in touch with her. Oh! And then my phone started to vibrate. It was from the Amadeus Cadets. Lately, she'd been contacting me all the time. I vaguely remembered that, at first, she'd promised not to talk to me unless I contacted her first. But we talked almost every day over the course of the last 6 months, and as time passed, I'd almost totally forgotten about that. I reached down to answer. Hello?
What? Why's your voice so low?
Shh! I'm in a cafe right now. Please, don't call me when I'm busy with stuff.
I have no way to know where you are or what you're doing. Or do you want me watching you 24 hours a day? Are you saying you want me observing you while you sleep? Or while you're taking a bath? You're quite the pervert, aren't you?
I'm sorry. You're sorry. She made that. Don't own that, dude. She came up with that. You didn't say that. What the frick?
If you don't want to talk to me when I call you, just don't pick up. I won't get mad about something like that.
That's true.
Well, it looks like you're busy now, so I'll do what you want and hang up. You're right. It's probably pretty weird for the rest of the cafe to see you talking to a 3D model of a girl on your phone.
Come on.
I'm kidding. You always take the time to talk to me, and, well, I am grateful.
We can talk about that some other time. I'm hanging up.
Hey, wait!
Cudit's always talked so much. The real one used to talk a lot too. Talking to her in a place like this always drew a lot of attention and made me feel awkward. Looking at a screen and talking was embarrassing, was all. So, I'd once proposed that I talk to her like I was on a normal phone. And this is what she said. Why do I have to stare at a close-up of the side of your head? She really was a selfish little program. Mayuri and I had met up and headed to Tokyo Hands. When I stepped inside the air-conditioned store, I felt refreshed. If it was this hot in June, I shuddered to think of what it was going to be like in July or August. Oh my goodness, she's got a little school uniform on. What the heck? Ah, that's cute. So, what are you going to buy?
We're going to make some signs for advertising. So I need poster boards and highlighters and stuff.
Are you going to put out a book at this year's Kamima?
Nope. It's for Okabe Greengrocer.
Huh? What did you say? My family business?
When I went to your house today, I talked to your dad about it. And I said that Mayushi would make them for him.
Wait, seriously? My dad could be such a jerk. There's really no reason you have to do that.
But Mayushi wants to do it.
You're sure?
Your mom and dad are always so nice to me.
Okay. I'll get you something as a thank you present then.
Really? That makes me so happy.
I took a quick look around and saw that they were selling a lot of things you could use for advertising. I decided to mostly leave the purchasing decisions up to Mayuri. She spent quite a while deciding what to buy. But, well, maybe because of all the time that she spent at May Queen Nyan, her taste ran in the direction of cute and anime. Part of me thought it was dangerous to leave it up to her. But still, they'd asked her, not me. It wasn't any of my business. I should just leave it to her. And so I decided to wander around the store while Mayuri finished her shopping. But I looked down at the screen, and it was from Kudits. What's up?
Are you out shopping?
Yeah, with Mayuri.
Oh, a date?
She just wants to hook people up. That's all she wants to do. What about Maho and us? You can't hook up Mayuri and Okabe. What are you trying to get, like a freaking romantic triangle going on right now? That's the plot of every freaking anime trope right there. Anyway, you know what I mean. Mainstream woman.
I've told you to stop calling me that.
Then stop assuming everything is about romance.
Right, fine. But isn't Mayuri cute? You're lucky to have such a cutie as your childhood friend.
You're right.
Maho doesn't stand a chance at this rate. She's not as cute. She's not as young. She's shorter. and her boobs are just hopeless.
Cut it! What the frick? Stop!
Aw, I feel so bad for her.
Yo, what the frick? Roasted Maho from freaking across the world. If you say that in front of Hyajo, she'll delete your program.
You know, you actually haven't introduced me to Mayuri. You've got quite a few friends, but you've never told any of them about me.
It's a secrecy thing. I'm not supposed to tell people about you.
Is that really all it is? You actually don't want people seeing me talk to you, do you?
That's not true. If you really want me to introduce you, I'll get permission from Hyajo. I'll start by introducing you to Daru, the man I trust the most. He'd just love to talk to you.
He'll stare at me with his filthy eyes, constantly panting after me 24 hours a day, right? Perverts scare me.
Kudits went pale and started to shake. I told Kudits all kinds of things about what kind of person Daru was. She could easily imagine what would happen if she ever fell into his clutches.
Never mind. You don't have to introduce me to anyone. I'll just keep telling myself that I'm lucky to have you to talk to. Oh, Karin!
Aw. Mayuri walked over, carrying a shopping basket.
Huh? Who are you talking to?
Oh, I looked down at my phone. Kudits had disappeared, and my smartphone was back at its home screen. Evidently, Kudits had hung up. Another student from school.
I see.
I knew I didn't have to hide Kudits, but at the same time, Mayuri was the one person I didn't want finding out. She knew that I'd failed to save Kudits Makase last summer. So, did you decide what you're going to buy?
Oh, yeah. What do you think about this?
The basket was filled with heart and star-shaped cardstock. This didn't really go with our store's look. But I'd decided when I started. I was going to let Mayuri make the decisions. Dad might complain later, but I didn't care. He was the one who asked Mayuri for help, not me. And so I went over to the register. Since it was a Saturday, the checkout area was overflowing with shopping carts. Since it was going to take a while, I sent Mayuri to browse the toy section on another floor. What is she, like 5? Yo. Treats her like a little kid. I knew they'd have some stuff from one of her favorite shows, Rainet Kakaru. Mayuri looked apologetic, but did what I told her to. In the end, I waited a whole 15 minutes at the register. As an apology, I decided to get the present I'd promised her. She seemed really happy as she stared at the keychain. It was Upa, the mascot character from the Rainet Kakaru series. I told her when she went over to the toy section she could pick out anything she wanted, and this was what she chose. Dude, literally like a little 5-year-old. He treats her like a little kid. Alright, go get one little toy, whatever you want. Yo, what the heck? That's both adorable and funny. You seem pretty happy about that, given how many Upas you already have. And that's a regular green Upa, right? Not the rare one? Oh, that's the one that she gave to freaking Kagari! That's the same one! It was that green one! And it had the wings and everything, I'm pretty sure. Yo, what the frick? Oh! Yo! I just realized that. The rare one. Do you mean the metal Oopa? The most popular and rarest of the Oopas was the shiny silver metal Oopa. For example, whenever there was a lottery for rare Rhinet Kakadu stuff at the convenience stores, the top prize was always a metal Oopa. My Yeti had told me once that they sold for tens of thousands of yen at auction. For some reason, my Yeti was wagging her finger at me.
Nope. This is a green Oopa, but it's not a regular one. This is the green fairy Oopa that was in the movie they just released.
Come to think of it, there had been a Rhinet Kakadu movie out in spring. Had my Yeti sat in a theater full of little kids to watch it? The green fairy?
Is it okay if I spoil the movie?
Go ahead. I'm not going to go see it.
So this movie, it's about a fight with an evil super hacker in the virtual world. The virtual world is a forest where the fairies live. Mr. Super Hacker is really strong, and Kakaru and Oopa are in big trouble, but just when they're about to lose, the fairies come to save them. And it turns out that the fairies are actually the flowers in the school garden that he'd always taken care of.
Oh, that's why she gave it to Kagari. Okay.
They came all the way to the virtual world to save Kakaru. And then there was a big shiny light. And then they combined with Oopa. And that's Green Fairy Oopa. He's really cute and really strong. Mayushi thought it was so great. I love stories like that. The director's a genius.
I see. It was rare for my Yeti to get this excited about something. I took a closer look and saw that the design was a little different from the standard Oopa. I didn't know a lot about Oopas, so I couldn't say exactly what was different.
I've actually been spending a lot of time looking for this little keychain. It's really popular, so it's sold out everywhere. I never would have thought Hands would have one.
You were pretty lucky, huh?
Yup. And it was the last one. I'm glad I came today. I need to thank you and your dad.
My Yeti took the tag off of the keychain, got her house key out of her bag, and carefully attached it.
Hey, Okarin. Mayushi will treasure this forever and ever and ever.
Yeah, please do. Make sure you don't lose it 5 minutes after you get it. And then subsequently make the entire world go into World War III. Yeah, don't do that again. It happened before, after all. No! Like the metal Oopa I'd won for her at the radio building. My Yeti had lost it no more than 5 minutes after I gave it to her. I'd wondered if she had ever found it. I didn't really want to remember that time in my life, so my memory of what happened to the metal Oopa was vague.
Yup. I'm never gonna lose it again.
The two of us started to head back.
I'm gonna work hard and make the ads for your shop, okay?
Oh yeah, you've still got to do that. I'd been thinking the job was done once we bought the materials. The real work actually began now. Should I help too?
No, I'm fine. Believe in Mayushi.
Believe in the her that believes in herself! I'm a little worried after you tried to buy heart-shaped cardstock.
It's fine.
Well, it's nice of you to make them at all. so I won't complain.
Oh, I need to call Mom. I'll tell her that I'll be home for dinner.
Why not eat at my place? I'm sure either Mom or Dad will try to get you to stay anyway.
Huh? I don't know. Are you going to stay at home the rest of today? You won't go to any singles parties?
Aw! I haven't been to any lately. Last fall, when I'd been trying to become a normal college kid, I'd forced myself to go to as many as possible. But lately, I'd been so busy with my studies that I hadn't had a chance.
I see. Then maybe I will.
Aw, dude! Aw! My Eddie took out her phone and started to type something when her expression suddenly darkened. She stopped moving. What's wrong?
I just got a message from Kade. I didn't notice it. What should I do, Okarin?
My Eddie seemed like she was on the verge of tears. Did something happen?
Hey, Okarin. You told me before that Fubuki's not sick, right?
Fubuki? You mean Nakase? Not Kadeshima, right?
Yeah. Is it true? She's really not sick?
Yeah. I don't think so.
But...
My Eddie showed me her phone. What? Okay. Fubuki's back in the hospital. I'm on my way. Here's the location. She's back in the hospital? I couldn't believe what I was seeing on the screen.
No!